got color in your cheeks. You ever get that feel that you can't shift the tide that sticks around like summits in your teeth? Are there some aces up your sleeve? Have you no idea that you're in deep? I dreamt about you nearly every night this week. How many secrets can you keep? 'Cause there's this tune I found that makes me think of you somehow, and I play it on repeat until I fall asleep, spilling drinks on my settee. Do I wanna know if this feeling flows both ways? Sorta hoping that you'd stay. We both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Crawling back to you, never thought I'd call and run. You're like you, 'cause I always do. Maybe I'm too busy being lost for running you. Now I thought it through, crawling back to you. So have you got the goods? Been wondering if your heart's still open, and if so, I wanna know what time it should. Simmer down and poker up. I'm sorry to interrupt, it's just I'm constantly on the cuff. I've tried to kiss you. I don't know if you feel the same as I do. We could be together.
Hello, Seahawks Nation. This is your host, Paul Byer. This is the show you've all been waiting for all week, especially after the big NFL draft this past weekend. 12 for 12. 12 topics for the 12th man. That's all that matters, really, right? At the end of the day, the 12th man, the Seahawks. Well, we are right back at it, folks, and I'm so thrilled to have all of you with me. Welcome, 12th man, 12th lady, and Hawks Nation around the world to your show, 12 for 12s. Okay, well, hey, what do we do from now? I mean, geez, I got so much to talk about. We got the big NFL draft this past weekend. My gosh in heaven, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, it's another big episode. It always is. It seems like you can't get enough topics. My gosh, 12 topics. Again, I always thought this was going to be hard, but you know what? It's not. There's always 12 topics. In fact, I got bonus topics tonight. So I'm excited to talk to everybody. Hope you're having a great night out there. It's a wonderful, sunny, beautiful, warm day here in the Seattle area. I'm sure you're all out there listening to me on your little computer, tablet, phone device on TuneIn Radio or Blog Talk Radio, and we appreciate it. Both the Top OT team and myself, thank you so much for listening in. With the 2014 NFL Draft wrapping up this past Saturday, I'm going to do a full debrief tonight, okay? I'm also going to grade out the picks the Seahawks made. I'm going to let you know some of my thoughts on them and their potential with the team. Additionally, I'm really excited to talk about the undrafted free agents, some of which I think will be on the 53-man roster this year. Lastly, I have completed my first investigative report. This is real exciting, folks. I'll talk about this later in the show, but it's essentially I wanted to measure the success rate of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay from ESPN. I really wanted to know, do these guys, are they able to accurately predict the NFL draft? And what I found is, no, they can't. They're not even close. I created a statistical model in order to quantify the comparisons. I know I'm using some big words here. The fact of the matter is that it goes back to my college days, some things I did there, and I wrapped all that college econ info into my brain, and I spit out an actual study. It took me a while. It took me a full day of work, 8 hours to get it all put together, but I did, and it was accurate, and my God in heaven, let's just say those guys are losers. All right. Well, again, I want to reiterate to everybody, I need your help. I am growing the brand as big as possible. I want everybody to listen to 12 for 12s, and I need everybody that does listen to this show to keep spreading the word. I've joined Facebook recently to help with that. I'm partnering with other larger groups out there like Only 12s. Very excited to have that with both Justin and Danny. I talked with them a couple of times. I really appreciate having them on the team and working with them. But the idea here is this is a grassroots enterprise, and I need everybody's help. So on Twitter, I obviously have grown my follower base there, but my goal is, again, the magic number is 12, so everything's in multiples of 12. I want to get this thing to 12,012 followers by next September. Well, that's quite a bit more than where I'm at, but you know what? You got to start somewhere. So that's something we're excited to try to accomplish. Also, I want to get unique views up on the site. More people are watching the site. I know you're enjoying the content I'm putting up there. And being able to spread that on Facebook, obviously on Twitter, through all the other social media sites that I'm using, I know we can do this. But I want to get that up to 120,012 views, again, by September 4th, game day, Thursday, opening night here at the Clink versus those Green Bay Packers. 12for12s.com. I'm trying to bring everything I can to you. So if there's something you want to hear about or want me to write about, let me know. I'm doing my best. And I need your feedback. So please continue that. And, again, thank you to everybody that has enjoyed it to this point in time. Well, let's go ahead and get the big show kicked off. I've got a big commentary here, and then, obviously, the Hawks 12. I have some bonus topics tonight I'll talk about at the end of the show. But first, I want to mention one of our sponsors, TYJ Movement. This is an awesome site, awesome gear, awesome reason to do something. Check out all the great gear at tyjmovement.com. Their hip and stylish designs will dress you for every occasion. Do yourself the pleasure of joining up with the TYJ Movement at tyjmovement.com. Go ahead and use the promo code PAUL2OT, PAUL2, number 2, OT, and that's the letter O, to get 20% off at checkout, okay? And let them know that you're listening to my show. That will be a big help, and I hope you do check out TYJ Movement. All right, let's go ahead and get into the commentary tonight, and I called this How the West Will Be Won. Well, to say the NFL power is in the NFC West is probably a huge understatement. The Super Bowl powers dominate. The superpowers dominate. I don't want to say Super Bowl. The superpowers dominate the NFC West from head to toe. 3 of the best draft grades that went out this past weekend by the national pundits went to teams in the NFC West. The Rams, everyone, perennial number 1 draft team. I think you got, Jeff Fisher there, just fantastic at what he does. The other, excuse me here, I had this up, but the last name's Snead. He's the GM for the Rams. Does a fantastic job as well. They have really been building something special there, and I think it's important for all of us to realize that they are, even though they haven't been in our quote unquote, level at our level, but they are a team that's greatly improved. I mean, and they keep improving, and that's the thing that makes them so scary. Next to that, you have the 49ers. The 49ers had a fantastic draft. They had 6 picks of the first 106. They actually traded back. They would have had 6 inside the first top 100. But the 49ers had a fantastic draft, too, fulfilling some of their needs. The Cardinals, got a local guy right out of the boot, Deion Buchanan from Washington State. Again, fulfilled a need that they had. They were ranked in the top 10. I had them at top 6. And then there was the Seahawks. And, it's funny, they don't understand no one understands our draft, and thusly they claim ignorance by just saying these guys know what they're doing. And I love that because it's like they all sit there and give us ho-hum grades, but they know that at the end of the day, when the season and these kids play out in our system, they are going to be something special. Then you have a division with 4 teams who racked up 42 wins. You got to realize the NFC West is by far the best division. In 2013, we racked up as a group 42 wins. Second place was 5 games back, and that was the AFC West. And we all know that they had the Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Sisters of the Poor after that, okay? 3 teams in that division made the playoffs, only 2 in ours. On top of all that, our NFC West teams, we draft better than anyone. We keep winning, we keep growing, and we keep drafting better. We've got top-notch coaches. We've got top-notch personnel departments. People have said the NFL is a copycat league, and I think that nothing is truer or less true than when you think of what's going on in the NFC West. You can see that everywhere, but more importantly, you can see it in the NFC West. All these teams know they must be able to fight fire with fire on both sides of the ball. Well, what does that mean? Well, they're copying our model, the Seahawks model. To be honest, it's the highest form of flattery, I got to say. So what are they doing? Let's start with talking about the Rams, okay? Jeff Fisher is a flat-out winner at head coach. I mean, this guy did it at Tennessee and did it for a long time, and now he's doing it with the Rams. You know, their GM, Les Snead, by the way, I forgot his first name, Les Snead, forgive me for that, but has put back-to-back money drafts together, hitting on 47% of his picks these last 2 seasons. 40% 2 years ago, last year 57%. Now, this year's grade we obviously don't have yet because it hasn't all played out, but you know, you can look at anybody that's hitting at over a 40% clip on their drafts is really doing well, and you'll understand that because I'll talk about this in just a minute about all the GMs together and how they're hitting on their draft picks. You add that to the 2014 draft, starting with their first round picks. They had 2 of them: Greg Robinson, an offensive tackle out of Auburn, and Aaron Donald, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. Athletically, I got to tell you, these guys are off the charts. Robinson tests as a complete road grader. He is extremely athletic, and it really shows you the necessity to have somebody that's a great offensive lineman to go up against these incredible D-lines in this division. From the 49ers, the Smith brothers, to the Hawks crew, obviously Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, Brandon Meebane, Tony McDaniel, and that's just a few of the guys we have in the mix. Arizona's Darnell Dockett and Calais Campbell and Dan Williams. I mean, every single one of the lines in this division is just monstrous. Donald, in my opinion, is really one of the best steals of the draft. Donald's added to what may be the best defensive line in the group of all of us. I mean, the Rams now have 4 first-round picks starting. Will have 4 first-round picks starting on their defensive line, going with Chris Long, Robert Quinn, the sack leader last year in the NFL. And I'll be honest with you, what I see as the pick of the draft, Aaron Donald, out here in their 4-3 scheme. The Seahawks won a championship due to many factors, but their ability to control the line of scrimmage was, in my opinion, the primary reason. Wow, are the West D's lines looking good. It's really amazing. Then there's the dastardly 49ers. You know, they had 6 picks, like I mentioned, out of the first 106 available, essentially getting double the value per pick as opposed to any other regular team and their draft position. Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh really have done good things there. I do have to say a lot of the picks they haven't turned out as of yet. Again, something I'll mention here when I'm grading these GMs and their personnel departments in a second. A lot of the talent the 49ers has actually came before both of them came to the team. Their first pick was spent on a hard-hitting strong safety from Northern Illinois, Jimmy Ward. Sounds like Bam Bam, I know. Then they picked a running back in Carlos Hyde with their second pick out of Ohio State, and some said Hyde was the number 1 pick for running backs overall. With Frank Gore turning 30 this week, and in this last year of his contract, the writing really is on the wall. The 49ers expect to run the rock just as much going forward as they have these past few years under Harbaugh. Again, all of this sounds a lot like the philosophy the Seahawks have used on what we have all seen, a run to Super Bowl immortality. Then we come to the Cardinals from Arizona, the only team to beat the Seahawks at home these last 2.5 years. Steve Keim and Bruce Arians have, just in a very short period of time, put together a winner. Obviously, they had a winning record last year, finishing with 10 wins. Their first pick in this draft was a strong safety, again, getting a hard-hitting guy in Deion Buchanan out of Washington State. Some said it was a reach, But when looking at the team's needs, he really fits perfectly into the backfield with Patrick Peterson, who, as we have all mentioned, recently got into a little bit of a skiff today with our own Richard Sherman. As always, Richard defending himself as the best cornerback in the league. But going with Patrick Peterson, Arizona has a terrific defensive backfield. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and Peterson, again, these guys are strong. These guys are good. They're playmakers. It sounds to me like they're trying to build their own version of the Legion of Boom. I guess we're going to have to come up with a name for them. How about the Legion of Scottsdale? Probably out late partying. All right, moving on. The second pick that the Cardinals came out with was a big mobile tight end, Troy Nicholas from Notre Dame. Some say this guy is one of the most athletic but well-rounded tight ends to come out in a while. He's a big target like a Jimmy Graham type. And the thing is that he's going to have an impact on checking down from Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer obviously needs that when you got a guy like Larry Fitzgerald out there running pass plays. But to have a guy who's going to run those shorter routes and really contain and allow Palmer to check down, I think it's going to be a huge benefit to him. But I think our friends Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor will probably have a few words for Big Troy when he gets his opportunity against our Seahawks. Finally, you come to the Seahawks. Well, what happened here? We went straight to the core, as GM John Schneider said. They had a vision as to what they wanted to add. They really wanted to find elite kids, elite people that could come and add to this team in more ways and with factors that could elevate each of the group's levels of play. The big holes to fill were at wide receiver and defensive line. Adding a speed burner like Paul Richardson from Colorado makes all the sense in the world based on an offensive scheme that prides itself on pulverizing and stretching defenses. They can only help but break within 60-minute battle on the field against us. The second pick was Justin Britt. Again, these were picks that transpired outside of the first round, but our second pick, Justin Britt, coming to us in the third, left tackle out of Missouri, a mean, versatile, great-footed, extremely well-footed player who fits the Tom Cable mold as an offensive lineman. Really, he almost looks in the uniform like Brano Giacomini, who grew so much under Tom Cable. I'll get more into the draft a little later in the Hawks 12. Obviously, the topic's ahead, but I was extremely happy with this draft, looking at it from the Seahawks perspective, and more importantly, how they attacked it. The Seahawks are very wise in the ways of the Force, as it will show even more as we approach this season. I think it's going to become more apparent with how these picks come into this. And this gets me to looking at the grades of these GMs and talking about that hit rate, that success rate with each of the picks they've made over their tenures with these ball clubs. Brian Nimhauser from Hawkblogger did a tremendous job of creating an article this last week talking about just this, and I thought these were fascinating. And some of these GMs haven't been around for 4 years, so you don't have a huge sample size, but when it comes to Arizona and Keim there, his last year he had a 22% hit rate, okay? That's 22% overall. Now, I'm going to give you averages, obviously, along with their individual hit rates per year, but it's fascinating to look at this. Snead out of St. Louis, he's been there for 2 years, obviously coming in with Jeff Fisher. In 2012, he was at 40%. 2013, 57%, which is extremely high. Again, 47% overall. He actually leads all the GMs in the NFC West in average. Now, Balky, he's been there for 4 years, and he's been up and down, let's just say. 2010, 38%. 2011, 50%. 2012, 0%. Last year, 9%. So as you can see with what I've been talking about in the success rate of Harbaugh and Balky working together, the last 2 years, the talent that Balky's brought to the table has really not been onto the field. So that brings him way down. He's at 25% and really should probably be at the bottom. You're getting a 0, buddy. I mean, that sucks. He is a 49er, though, so who knows. All right, moving on to the Schneid. Well, the Schneid's been here for 4 years, like we talked about. First year out of the gate, 56%. Obviously, Earl, and we know a number of the individuals. Russell Okung was in that mix. 2011, 44%. 2012, 40%. And then 2013, he's at 18%. And so you get an average of 38%. He's number 2 next to Snead. But I think what's important to identify is that the 2013 class, really hasn't been seen yet, and you're going to see it this year, in my opinion, and that's with obviously the talents of Jesse Williams, our linebackers, D-backers, Daryl Simon. There are a number of guys in this class that we're going to need to see them on the field, and I think we will. So that 18% number is going to increase. Overall, the division has gotten much better, and it already dominates the NFL. It's scary to think how good the divisional games will be this year. I mean, the Seahawks finishing with 5 of 6 games being inside its own division. Oh, it's scary. The power is in the NFC West, and it will be here for years to come. The Seahawks, already one of the youngest teams, may even be younger in 2014. That's unbelievable, folks. The mold has been accepted by other like-minded foes, and we will see it all play out in 2014 as they attempt to catch up to a dominating group who welcomes the competition. They do so because they thrive in it. They need it in order to revel in their own championship mentality. Bring it on, NFC West. We look forward to saying hello next fall. However, it may be a bit louder than you're used to. All righty, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. And then thanks, everybody, for listening in. That was my commentary this evening. I called it, as we said before, How the West Will Be Won. Obviously, all this will be available on YouTube once I get the clips up. I still need to get last week's up, so forgive me. The panel show was awesome. I'll get that up to everybody here this week, along with this week's version of 12 for 12s. But I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back after a minute or so and get right into the Hawks 12. Obviously, tons of news to talk about, along with the obviously NFL draft that took place. But right now, let's go ahead and go to break with Norb Calwheely's Win, Win, Win. Fantastic show in Norb Cam on YouTube. Check it out if you haven't already. Norb Calwheely is an awesome musician as well. This is a great cut, obviously inspired by our Seahawks. Be right back for 12 for 12s. This is your host, Paul Beyer.
With the fight, he's taking control. The one that we trust. The name is Russell Wilson, and he's dangerous. We're bigger, faster, stronger, louder than yours. We want the ball, hell yeah, we're gonna score. Hold on to the rock, cause the intensity is high. You know the 12th man will be rocking tonight. Who's gonna hit ya? The Seahawks. Who's gonna outrun ya? The Seahawks. Who's gonna blitz ya? The Seahawks. What's important now? Win, win, win. Slack ya? The Seahawks. Who's coming at ya? The Seahawks. Who's gonna slack ya? The Seahawks. What's important now? With the best, this year we're gonna win the NFC West. We running the ball, we setting the tone. You Marshawn Lynch, what we call baseball. Our defense is a temple of doom. Before you're going down, there's a legion of boom. First down, move the teams, now we're taking you out. Team up, go high, bring it to the high. The Seahawks gonna outrun ya. The Seahawks, who's gonna blitz ya? The Seahawks, what's important now? Win, win, win. Slack ya. The Seahawks, who's coming at ya? The Seahawks, who's gonna slack ya?
God, Norb does a great job with that music, folks. Check it out again on Norb Cam, his channel on YouTube. Does a fantastic job. Friend of the show. He's had, obviously, an interview on here already. Check out that video. A big hit with the 12. So check out Norb Calwheely of Norb Cam. Thank you again for being a friend of the show. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the Hawks 12 this evening. We have first thing out of the block, and it seems like it was ages ago, but Richard Sherman signing his contract extension, the big contract extension to keep this Legion of Boom together. Again, it seems like it was ages ago, but Richard Sherman will be a Seahawk for the next 5 seasons. His 4-year extension is worth a paltry $57.4 million, and I think the important figure here is $40 million of which is guaranteed over the next 21 months, not spread out over 4 years, okay? The man with a plan got paid, and with Earl Thomas signing earlier the week prior, the Legion of Boom is now locked up for multiple years along with Bam Bam Cam Chancellor. Now, obviously, Byron Maxwell has not gotten a deal. He becomes a free agent next year. But with the ability to use franchise tags and so forth, we are in a position to keep a very strong group of defenders in that backfield together. And I think it's important to bring up that, the fact is we're going to find out who in this group is good. I mean, look, you've got the importance of now Harold Simon as a backup. We need to see him and what he did through nothing in 2013 being hurt. We need him to step up. He fits that mold of big cornerback perfectly. Jeremy Lane, who was a very good player to come in, especially on special teams. He was outstanding. But Jeremy Lane is the kind of guy, we need to see him in that slot corner role because that's really what he's there for. And we're going to need someone to step up into that nickel package. And then you add the likes of Eric Pinkins in the draft now, okay, from San Diego State, a 6'2", 195-pound kid, almost out of the mold of a Cam Chancellor. But they want to put him and feel like that he's going to best help the team as a cornerback. So he's going to be a part of that group, and we're going to see who out of those three guys steps up to the moniker of LOB. It's going to be fun to watch, and watch these men grow through this year and keep the legacy of this whole concept going into the future. I think it's one of these competitions I'm most looking forward to personally watching when camp opens up this summer. All right, moving on to our next topic of this evening, and that's the pre-draft off-season report. And, I've been sending out updates every day for those that follow me on Twitter and Facebook, basically talking about what's been happening with either personnel from the 2013 team or personnel that's either come visited or has been talking to in a fashion where the Seahawks may or may not sign to come onto the ball club. Now, with these acquisitions of the draft now behind us, I mean, it's important to look at these people. Who are the guys? Let's talk about kind of a summary now. It's been 63 days since free agency started, so I'm going to go ahead and, starting with the Hawks on the roster that have either stayed here or left, give you an insight on where they're at, okay? Well, first things first, we obviously just talked about Richard Sherman. He's still with the ball club. We know his numbers. Obviously, fantastic news. Moving down, we've got Doug Baldwin. Who did sign his tender. Actually, they are in the midst of going through setting up a long-term deal. So that is good, and they do expect that in the next coming months. Earl Thomas, Earl signed a week and a half ago, so that's fantastic news. He's the highest-paid safety in the game, and rightfully so. Jaron Johnson, again, a strong safety backup for Cam. He is going to be back, retained. That's important, keeping that LOB, even the backups, because they're all important, okay? It's a big team there. He's going to be back, obviously, a one-year deal, upwards of about $2 million with incentives. Kellen Davis, he came in as a tight end, not the most well-handed tight end. He was there for blocking purposes primarily, but he signed a deal with the New York Giants, so we wish him the best of luck. Paul McQuiston, offensive guard. There's been a lot of goods and bads talked about with Paul. I personally admired him greatly for what he did last year in getting us through an 8-game stretch, playing multiple positions, which I can't tell you how hard that is as an offensive lineman. He did that, and he covered the backs of Russell Okung, and then was able to go back to his position, and he bounced around. Obviously, Tom and the boys went through a kind of a rotation at the end between guards, but the fact is that we won those games, okay, and I got to give hats off to Paul, and I wish him the best of luck with the Cleveland Browns. Zach Miller, boy, I'll tell you, this was a big signing. I'm very happy to know that he's going to be back again, but Zach Miller will be back after becoming, well, I shouldn't say was close to being cut, but he came in and restructured his deal to stay here, which is fantastic news. Michael Bennett, the big free agent, really the only free agent we needed to make sure we signed, and we did, getting him for 4 years at $28.5 million, $16 million guaranteed. Anthony McCoy, I thought was another guy that was going to be great to bring back from having a good 2012 where he was really coming on as a tight end. This is a Zach Miller beta. I mean, he's the younger brother, okay, and he's very much in the same mold as Zach. He really is an athletic guy, great hands, great speed. I see this guy being something special, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does this year where he has that tester contract, a one-year deal. Brandon Browner, we say goodbye to BB, and I'm going to miss him. He's one of my favorite players of the Seahawks. He's going to be obviously over in New England. Red Bryant leaves us obviously to go down with Gus Bradley and his boys at Jacksonville. Golden Tate, we all know he went to the Lions. Clinton McDonald, the truck driver, one of my favorite players on the ball club, he signed a huge deal with the Jags, and I wish him the absolute best of luck. O'Brien Schofield, a guy that we didn't know if we were going to have or back. He was ping-ponging all around the country, but we got O'Brien Schofield back. I think that's good news to, again, make sure we have a guy that understands our system as a linebacker, going with that already incredibly deep group of B-Wags, KJ, and Malcolm. And we don't even talk about Bruce Irvin, and he's really the starter, but Bruce moves around. So I think it's just, again, very strong and nice to know we have O'Brien back. Tony McDaniel, again, a great signing, really going to fit that role, I think, for Red on the 5 technique on the outside, DN, D tackle. He's very flexible. He can move in and out. Tavares Jackson, I think it's great to have him back up, but then you obviously have, we're going to talk about it here in a second, but we have other guys coming in like Terrell Pryor and then obviously with the signing of our unrestricted free agents in this draft, Keith Price from UW. So again, it's very interesting how this is all going to work out. But I love knowing Tavares Jackson is signed. He's a very, very good backup and a great leader in the locker room for this team. Chris Clemens, another favorite of ours. I know I'm going to miss him. 91 going to Gus Bradley and the Jags. Walter Thurman, obviously, really that real great 5 technique, nickel technique for this team. Outstanding, one of the best cover guys on this roster, in my opinion, going to the Giants. Bruno Giacomini went to the Jets. Chris Maragos back up free safety to Earl, which was just another good leader, good guy in the club, I say clubhouse, but it's thinking baseball because I'm watching baseball, but that's okay, in the locker room. Chris going to the Eagles. So good luck to Chris. Sidney Rice, again, very excited to know he's coming back. We don't know his condition. Everything's set. Apparently he's looking good, looking strong. So hopefully we get the Sidney Rice that we had last year that was really coming on and working well with Russell. And with his speed and his size, he can just get better. And I hope his knees are able to get there. Steve Hoshka, I'll tell you, this is great having Hosh Money back. One of my favorite guys. I have friends that are just good buddies with him. They go golfing a lot. Great news to have Stephen Hoshka back. All right. Now, some of the guys that are new to the team, and this is important, but Chris Matthews, again, the Canadian Football League player, 2012 Canadian Rookie of the Year, 6'5", 227, talking about big, out of Kentucky. Doesn't have the best of speed, but he is a physical receiver that makes big catches. So I'm excited to see how he wraps into this new wide receiver core group, and obviously having Percy the whole season too. Well, that's going to be real interesting. Some of the guys, and these are just names, but Steve Schilling, the offensive guard from San Diego, he was a part-time guy, but he got last year. He got a lot more time when they had some injuries on that line. But that's really when their run game started to click down there with Ryan Matthews, and he's now come home. This is a local guy from Bellevue, and I think a 6'5", 312 guy. He plays an offensive guard. I think he's going to be fantastic in his role here with this team. Now, moving into some of the other gentlemen, Phillip Adams out of Oakland. He's a cornerback, nickel corner, so he's coming in to maybe fill that role of Walter Thurman. He did spend some time here in Seattle, but he's a 5'11", 195-pound guy. He appeared in 31 of 32 games these past two years with the Raiders. So this is a guy who's been in the games, knows what it's like. I got to bring this name up, but Biggie Hurgan-Hughes, the deep snap trickster. He was actually dropped from the roster. He was waived yesterday. This guy was coming in to compete at the long snapper duties, but really he was there just to fill a roster spot. We wish the best. And if you haven't checked out his trick videos with his deep snapping, you probably should. He's from Saskatchewan, Canada. So check out, I call him Biggie Hurgan-Hughes. He's Hurgan-Hughes. I guess that's his name. Horgan. Hurgan. Swedish chef. All right. Terrell Pryor, I mentioned him earlier, out of Oakland. We traded our seventh rounder with Oakland to bring him in to get into that quarterback room and compete. I think it's really interesting to see how it works. B.J. Daniels is in there. I mean, it's going to be crowded. And if Keith Price is actually held on to after minicamp, it's going to be exciting to see how. I mean, look, Russell Wilson's our starting quarterback. We don't have anything to worry about there, folks, okay? All right, moving on. Kevin Williams from the Vikings, defensive tackle. This guy still is looking. He's not an addition at this point in time, but looking. Now, an addition we do have from the Vikings is A.J. Jefferson, a cornerback. He is going to be joining us. So, again, another LOB guy, 4-year veteran who has played intermittently while suffering nagging injuries, but he's an athletic freak. That's what everyone says. 6'1", 190, so definitely in that physical press man mold that Pete Carroll loves. And finally, Andre Carter from the Patriots. Again, this is a defensive end, 13-year vet, been very good. He has been looking. He came here last week to look at the team, visited with the ball club at the VMAC, and after we get through these initial stages, he might be someone that is signed. We'll see, but again, just someone of interest. All righty, that is the summary. I guess a little long there, but hey, we got to get through. That was the pre-draft off-season report. Now let's go ahead and get into the draft now, okay? But first, I'm going to go ahead and do a commercial and come back, get a sip of water. But before I say that, this whole episode and what we're doing right now with the draft, I want to tell you it's sponsored by the OOT Overtime Radio Team. And I want everyone to know you can tune in every Monday and Wednesday to hear Tim Gardner, Barry Roy, and myself, Paul Byer, as we talk national sports stories and hit with detail all the local sports scene news people envy. We specialize in friendly debate with a bit of humor. All of us bring our strengths to the table. Don't miss an episode. Listen live on our Double Overtime Blog Talk Radio channel and subscribe. Obviously, we're also available on iTunes and TuneIn Radio, depending on what your listening tablet or phone device operating system is. So check that out. Again, available on Android or iOS, TuneIn Radio, and obviously iTunes on iOS and Apple. Okay? I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to get into the draft. Boy, do we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be exciting, but let's take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and take you out here with a little of, let's see here. I think it's important that we keep this theme going here, and that is let's talk about the Seahawks, and I think this is a great little cut. One of my favorites. This is 12 for 12s with Paul Byer. There's a little of the loud and proud by our own local hero, Anthony J. Shears, a friend of the program as well, good friends of Tim Gardner's, and happy to have him provide that music. We will play, obviously, much more, again, all Seattle Seahawks music here, folks. That's what we're all about. All right, this is 12 for 12s. I'm your host, Paul Byer. Thanks again for listening this evening. We're a little past the bottom of the hour, and we're going to go ahead and get into the draft. We got a lot to talk about here, folks. So first thing we're going to start with is draft day number 1. What took place? Well, to say everyone was excited for day 1 of the NFL draft might have been an understatement as well. It was really our first chance as 12s to feel like we were in a game again. That's how I felt. The draft maestro, John the Schneider, made us wait through 31 picks, planning to trade the 32nd selection the entire time. And I think we all kind of understood that was the case. But you all wanted to see what would happen. the personnel department was extremely happy to make a move and was set to take advantage of it in the second round by getting the 40th and 45th pick, which they then in turn traded again with the Lions. But really, it was an interesting day, and we didn't see much, obviously, from a pick standpoint. But I think it's important to note the patience of the Schneid here. He had people on the line all the time who wanted to come back into that first round. They were trying to get a quarterback, and obviously we saw that with Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings being ultimately the team that traded with us. And the reason for that is because when you draft in the first round, you have an extra year of option to keep that player under contract. And that's the biggest reason teams wanted to get back into the first round, especially with a player like a quarterback, because if he's the goods, like Teddy Bridgewater very well could be for the Vikings, it's nice to have him. So there you go. Now, moving on, I think it's the teams who needed QBs in particular. There were a few of them, and again, the Texans didn't make a move on that until later. But anyways, we'll get into that later. Now, here we go. Hence, we were forced to wait another day for the magic to happen, and it moves us on to day 2. So draft day number 2. We only had to wait 8 picks to find out who our latest hawk would be. But then another trade happened, getting a 5th rounder from the Lions in the deal. So we all had to sit patiently for another 5 picks. And the name read was not someone I had anticipated. But once I started researching it, I fell in love with the pick. Paul Richardson from Colorado became a Seahawk. And I'll tell you, this was exciting stuff. This kid's a speed demon, folks. Runs a 4.3 40. He's clocked even faster than that. You're talking about Percy Harvin Part 2, and by far the best player on a horrible team. Richardson displayed world-class speed. He has great has great route running ability and incredible hands. I'll tell you, I saw some pictures today. If you haven't seen them on Seahawks.com, check out the pictures of the rookies out there working. And he looks, with a beard, he has a beard, but without his beard, he looks like Percy Harvin. It's spooky. But when you're adding a guy like this into this wide receiver core, including the likes of Percy Harvin, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, I think the opposing defensive backs are going to be hard-pressed to cover the entire field. This is a grade A, super value pick. I love it. And I'll get into my grades here in a little bit, but grade A, I might be giving away a little hint there. The second pick we had coming our way and was the last pick of the second round and at 64, and we took Justin Britt, a left tackle from Missouri. He's a smart, athletically gifted lineman who can play in multiple spots. It really was a steal in my opinion. According to O-line coach Tom Cable, Britt will compete with the right tackle for the right tackle job with Michael Bowie. Buckle up, kids, because I really think this in the fat bodies, this is going to be a fun one to watch between the fat bodies. This could be, in my opinion, our new starting right tackle, and a lot of the national pundits actually agree with it, that they think that he, of all of our rookie selections here in the draft, he could be the starter. I think it's going to be interesting to watch, but we'll see how that works out. The grade here, and I'm not going to give you my grades until later, but the grade here definitely could go up, let's just say, based on how that competition goes. Okay? Moving on to draft day number 3, and this was probably the most exciting day, in my opinion, as a Seahawks fan. I really look forward to this day because we had 7 selections dialed in. After all the first and second round trades, the 7 picks we had to get to watch that day, it seemed like we dominated every pick we got, and we do it every year. This is the time, that 4th through 7 rounds, we just kick everyone's butt. And the first out of the gate, the first guy we took, first of our 3 fourth-round picks that we ended up getting in this draft was Cassius Marsh, a defensive end out of UCLA. And this guy is a gladiator. That's how I describe him with one word. Marsh's tape is fantastic. You got to check it out, YouTube, kids. He puts everyone on their backs. Apparently he's had some type of field issues, I understand, but if those can be learned from and put behind him, in my opinion, this could be a young Jared Allen, folks, young and a lot cheaper than what we were going to have to pay for that guy. He's 6'4", 268. I'm really excited about this guy. Absolute top-of-the-litter pick at that position. Pete Carroll, I got to tell you, when he was picked, he was gleaming like a joker. I mean, he had that grin, and it was hilarious. He fits every skill set that I think Carroll loves to see on a defensive line, and Dan Quinn doing his magic, this is just something to get excited about. At pick 123, we grabbed wide receiver Kevin Norwood from Alabama. His previous quarterback, A.J. McCarron, who a lot of people are aware of, obviously winning a couple of national titles down there. He called him the steal of the draft, and I'll tell you, I agree. He's one of the steals of the draft. I don't even think he's the best one we got, but he is a grade A selection. Highly intelligent. Kevin got a master's degree his last season with the Tide. All of this after being relocated. He had a horrible, obviously devastating issue with his family, being relocated because of Hurricane Katrina, young. He was fortunate to find a family and people that helped them, and obviously this kid's able to achieve his dream of playing in the NFL, being drafted. It's really a great story. I advise you check it out. Again, it's on Seahawks.com. He's known for making all the hard catches without a super breakaway speed, but he gets it done by outworking his opponents, in my opinion. And this kid wins battles. He wins battles. He's the guy you throw it to on a third down when you need the catch, okay? The final ripping, as I called it, of the fourth round prospect pool came in a stunner from Boston College, and that's Kevin Pierre-Louis. By the way, it's not Louis. Some people think it is. It's Louis. And this kid is interesting. He's a tweener, if you've ever heard the phrase in football. He tested as one of the fastest linebackers in the entire combine, in the entire prospect class, running a sub-4.5 40. He is undersized at his position. He did play at Boston College. He was an all-ACC player his senior year, and all-rookie player, I should say, as a freshman, as one of the best freshmen in the league that year. Pierre-Louis was all over the field making huge hits on both sides of the ball. He is incredibly mobile. He also has the potential to be a strong safety because he's almost identical looking to Cam Chancellor except for his size. He might be an inch or two shorter. He's 6'1", 225, and when I talk about that size, you think of linebackers, our linebackers, they're 250, and they run, okay? So this guy might be faster, but he's a little smaller, and I think they're going to try to work on that building him up a little bit, but he's a tremendous athlete. And I think the interesting thing, and this goes to a lot of our selections here, and I would recommend to everybody, go and listen. I have this up on my site on 12for12s.com. Each of the players, I have their pressers, and I not only have their pressers, but I also have, if it was available, the scout who scouted them talking about them. Absolutely insightful audio. I would recommend everybody check it out. But when it came to Kevin Pierre-Louis, what am I trying to think? I'm a Frenchman here all of a sudden? No, I'm not. But the point is that his scout said, and this is the same guy that worked for the 49ers for many years, but he said, they asked him, who did he remind him of? Who does Kevin remind this scout of? And the scout said he reminds him of Navarro Bowman. Whoa. That's all I got to say about that one. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the rest of those picks that came up, and I went ahead and pulled up my website here because it was so much easier for me. Again, we're not going to give out grades until a little bit here, but let's go ahead and hit round 5 pick, Jimmy Staten out of Middle Tennessee State. He was picked 172 overall. I got to tell you, folks, this is my favorite pick that we have this year, okay? I went right away and looked at this guy's YouTube videos and his pick. He is perfect for our interior lineman for this team. He is Brandon Mebane, but maybe even better athletically. He actually has a hilarious picture of chasing down a Navy running back, and the Navy running back's probably like 200 pounds lighter than him. It's hilarious. But it's just the guy's huge. He's 6'4", 305. Massive, extremely athletic. We're talking he actually is one of the fastest D tackles tested at his position. I see this guy with a Tony McDaniel, Brandon Mebane, learning the way. I love this guy. He's going to take over for the truck driver. is my favorite player with the truck driver moving on to the Jags. Moving on, Garrett Scott, round 6, pick 199. The interesting thing about Garrett Scott, offensive tackle, played the right side, played the left side for Marshall, the Thundering Herd. He actually tested as one of the fastest linemen. This guy's 6'4", 295, and he ran a 5 flat, I think just under 5 flat, 40. That's unbelievable, folks, for a lineman, for an offensive lineman. We're talking huge guys. It's one of the issues we've had with James Carpenter, his size. He's not athletic enough. He can't move as much well, especially with passing situations. That's one of the issues we've had with him. They're working on his size, trying to lean him up a little bit to make him more mobile. This guy is just fleet of foot, huge. I'll tell you, I'm interested to see what Tom Cable does with him. They were extremely high on him, getting him in round 6, the most athletic offensive lineman out of the group. And this brings up another point. A lot of people have been talking about why we didn't pick up an offensive guard. And I got to tell you, the reason is, folks, and this goes back to kind of understanding lower down and feeder systems, but usually the best players play certain positions, especially on the lower the level your team is. But when you're in college, your best linemen are playing tackles or they're playing center. And that's because each of them has different roles. But you got to have your best, most athletic, and biggest guy, strongest guy playing tackle, because he's got to be able to move and protect that quarterback from those DNs that not only can run, but they are extremely athletic and usually the strongest guys. Not necessarily the strongest guys, but they are tough to block. That's all I can say. And they're on their own. You're on an island out there. There's space to the outside of you. Garrett Scott's that type of guy, and I agree. I think Justin Britt is as well. That's the Tom Cable mold, finding athletic guys that they can build into, and they're big guys, but build into versatile linemen. I think we got that with Garrett Scott. Moving on to the next pick, Eric Pinkins out of San Diego State. We got him in round 6 as well at the 208 pick. I'll tell you what, this is an interesting one. 6'3", 215, absolute hard-hitting SOB. This guy, 2-year starter, San Diego State, he is perfect. And I'll tell you, we all thought strong safety, and you know, he that's what he played in college. But it appears that the team wants him to play cornerback, and so now you're just thinking, Brandon Browner, part deux. You've said that a couple times tonight. You see these characteristics of these players; they match up so well with the same type of characteristics we've seen over the years with what Pete Carroll and John Schneider have done, and that's because they are meant to. They have a philosophy that fits certain characteristics and maximizing those skill sets. And I think that's exactly why you're seeing that, again, with a guy like Eric Pinkins, which I'm extremely excited to see him work with the LOB, see if he can beat that group of Tharold Simon, Jeremy Lane, who's going to be the nickel corner. And this is a guy who's played in the nickel package, so he understands playing in the slot. Obviously, the NFL is a different world, but I'm excited to see how he fits into this. And, again, we'll give out grades here in a second. Now, the last gentleman to be in this draft selected by the Seahawks was a very interesting one, and that's Kiro Small, pick 227, out of Arkansas. And this is a 5'8", 250-pound human bowling ball that wreaks absolute havoc. Talk about thumper. The guy broke 26 face masks in his career at Arkansas. I never broke one, and I was an offensive lineman, okay? This guy, he goes and hits people. And it's proven by that type of statistic. It was really fun to hear him talk. I advise everyone to listen to his presser. Again, you can see the link on my site, 12for12s.com. I think it's interesting to see he comes in to compete with Derek Coleman. Obviously, Spencer Ware is being the other fullback that they've moved there, and we didn't get a lot of work with Spencer last year because, heck, he was injured a lot. But I'm interested to see how this works with Michael Robinson. Still not official, but more than likely retired and not re-signed by the team. So Kiro Small is an interesting guy. Maybe he's so short. So it's just, how do you utilize him? Well, you just put him in, let's say, go beat somebody up, blocking for Marshawn Lynch. And, Marshawn likes having a lot of single set backfields, but he also likes having that running back and not having his good old buddy Michael Robinson there. They're going to have to find a new one for him. Maybe Kiro's the man. So Kiro's an interesting guy, though. Check him out. All righty then. Let's move on here. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to take a break, I guess, huh? That's what I said I would, so might as well, right? All right. Well, this one is going to be sponsored by www.stickersnorthwest.com. Again, one of our new sponsors here. All of us here at OOT Radio are proud to announce the newest addition to our sponsorship team, and that's stickersnorthwest.com. Creating some of the stickiest Seahawks, 12 Mariners Husky original designs to share with all your friends or just put on your favorite book. Some of the coolest local flair options you can find. Check out stickersnorthwest.com and make sure you make a purchase today. Use promo code PAUL2OT. That's letter OT, not zero, folks. OT like overtime. And receive 20% off. Do it today. You'll be sticky for sure. Now, again, I want to make sure that the address is understood by everybody here, but it's www.stickersnorthwest.com. You got to put the www in. For some reason, I've never had to, but you do on this one. So that means it's a World Wide Web address, not just a HTTP. So check that out, folks, and look at www.stickersnorthwest.com. Thanks again for them joining us as one of our sponsors. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break again, and going out here, I think, let's mix this back up. I'm thinking we go back to Norb Kawili and his great cut, We Got Your Back, dedicated to the Legion of Boom. Again, check out Norb on NorbCam. Does fantastic work there. Great vlogs, includes his family, usually picking up his girls from school. Real funny stuff and great knowledge. So check out Norb's opinion and obviously his game videos when the season hits. You'll know him by the makeup. Here is Norb Kawili's We Got Your Back. This is 12 for 12s. And your host, Paul Beyer. Be back in a sec. We Got Your Back. I love that cut. That's a money cut, folks. Legion of Boom, inspiration, and of course our own Richard Sherman. They say it before every game in that big group huddle. Thanks, Norb, for putting that cut together. And again, everyone, check him out on NorbCam on YouTube. All right, let's keep this thing rolling. This is 12 for 12s. I'm in the middle of the Hawks 12 here. We're at number 6 on the list tonight, and that is my final draft grades. Well, let's go ahead and get right to it, okay? I really thought about this hard on each one of these guys, and I didn't come out with them loosely, all right? I really looked at it and what the impact was, and if it wasn't going to be an immediate impact, in my opinion, I didn't give him a higher grade. So, first of all, I'll start with Paul Richardson out of Colorado. Folks, I think this is an absolute win-win. You put him on one side of the field, with a Percy Harvin in the slot, and then you've got the Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. It becomes a four-headed monster. This kid's going to have to learn things. Obviously, the NFL is a different ball game, but with his speed, when I looked at his videos, he runs past defenses. They can't keep up with him. This is an absolute A, slam dunk A. Love this grade. Love this guy. Cannot wait to see him out on the field. Justin Britt, out of Missouri, offensive tackle, left tackle. He's going to be competing for the right tackle position. Tom Cable has already said this. I'm going to give him a B, and the reason I didn't do higher here, and this is, again, got to see how this plays out, but this guy's a left tackle, and now he's moving over to the other side. If anything, it's great competition for Bowie, obviously putting some pressure on him to perform, but going from one side to the other side can sometimes be difficult. Okay, and you're in the NFL now. It's not. You know, SEC is pretty awesome, obviously, as a football conference, but you're now playing against NFLers. Every single one of these guys is unreal. Justin Britt's going to have a learning curve, and so I'm going to give him a B. I think he's got a lot of upside, though, and so I'm excited to see where that lands. All right, moving on here to Cassius Marsh out of UCLA, the defensive end. I love this pick. I think everything about it's good. Again, I mentioned young Jared Allen. This is a great A, folks. Absolute A written all over him. Kevin Norwood out of Alabama. Again, how do you see him fitting in here? Is he going to be starting? Well, probably not. But this guy is a leader. He's a born leader. He's a guy who's dealt with all kinds of mass hysteria in his own life. And I think Kevin Norwood is going to be a winner. He's going to be a guy on this roster for multiple reasons. His size, his ability to learn, getting a master's, folks, it's not easy. And I think this guy I'm giving him an absolute A. I think he's an A in life. I think he's an A on this team. I think he's going to grow into be a great receiver with this ball club, and I'm excited to see him grow with it. Next guy on the list, Kevin Pierre-Louis out of Boston College. Now, this is one, again, I mentioned he's a tweener. Tests off the charts athletically. He's still small for a linebacker, but they're going to leave him there. Hopefully he can bulk up. He's going to need at least 15 pounds, I'd say. But right now I'm putting him as a B, and it's not because I think his athletic ability keeps him up higher than going down further. Everyone says he's awesome, he's off the charts, and he does look good on his film, but the NFL is such a different thing. If you're small, again, these linemen are going to get on you. You are done. And so I worry about that. He's going to have to be able to engage linemen. He can't get crushed by them. He's going to have to step up into those holes. And so if he's staying in that linebacker core, which they say he's going to be that backside, weak side linebacker, which is where Malcolm Smith has played. He's got those great wheels. This guy's faster. But can this guy play that position with the ability to move and engage offensive linemen, pro football offensive linemen? It's going to be still left to be said, 6'1", 225-pounder, even shorter than some of our linebackers. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, but I'm giving him a B. All right, moving on to Jimmy Staten, and this is, again, my favorite pick of this entire draft for this team. Jimmy Staten, number 172 in round 5, Middle Tennessee State, defensive tackle, 6'4", 305, B+. I think he's going to be an A+ by the end of this, folks. This is the guy to watch out of this draft. Garrett Scott out of Marshall, the Thundering Herd. This is a guy, again, very athletically gifted, but you know, there's a reason you're picked in round 6 as opposed to round 4, or I should say round 2 as a player and his capability. So I'm going to see if he's someone that can really find and learn in this system under Tom Cable. I'm going to give it C because I think there's still some things that need to happen here for him to, quote-unquote, take that transition of athletic skill to the next level, to the NFL level. He abused people in college, but like I said, NFL is a different story. Eric Pinkins, this is a guy who's going to have to compete for position in a very deep room. That LOB, it ain't going to be tough to get playing time in there. We all know Chris Maragos basically has sat for 2 years playing basically only special teams. But this guy could be a great special team player. And that goes to, again, something I think is going to be important about this draft class. Again, Eric Pinkins, great kid, great player, could definitely make an impact, but right now I'm giving him a B as it stands right now. All right, moving to our last pick, and that is Kiro Small. Again, where is this guy? Is he actually going to play? Is he going to make the roster? I wonder. I don't know if he can. I mean, it was so hard for Derek Coleman to make this team, and not just make the team, but be a contributor. I mean, heck, they brought Michael Robinson back, and he played majority of those snaps when they used a fullback last year, which is less and less. I'm going to give Kiro a C right now, but if he makes the team, I'm going to tell you it's because he is a monster on special teams, and he just beats people up because he's a wrecking ball. I love the fact that he brought 26 face masks. I think it's the coolest thing ever. All right, moving on here. Now, some people have been excited about this next topic tonight, and I am too. It's the I mentioned this on Twitter, and I did a story about this on my website, 12for12s.com, and that is I did a full comparison of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay of ESPN, the quote-unquote draft juggernaut analysts that they are, the geniuses they are. And I did my own, and I wanted to see if my mock draft, how it stood up to their mock draft, and I wanted to measure it. I needed to figure out a way to measure it. And so let me just tell everyone, this was not something that was easy to do. It took me a whole day. The entire Sunday I spent working on this. And I had already done the mock draft previously, so I had the information readily available. I was an econ major in college, and I basically pulled all my econometric skills out of the old, my bookshelf here, because it has been a while since I pulled those books down. And I lit myself. First of all, I had to establish a baseline. This is a study. Some psychology people do these types of studies all the time. And so what I had to do was figure out a way to value the scale, okay? And that was, I used a scale of 3 to 1, so 3 being the worst, 1 being the best, so correct, perfect, 2 being close, 3 being no cigar. I created 3 different categories, unrelated to each other, so it was, again, spectrum, you're measuring 3 good measurements to quantify this, and that is, the first thing I used was the pick itself and to the team. Did you pick the player to the team correctly, despite of the round taken? So if you for instance, Johnny Manziel. If you said Johnny Manziel was going to go 4th to Cleveland, like I did, well, you got credit for that. You didn't get a 1, you got a 2 because you were close. If you picked it in a different round, you got 2, but he went to the same team, so you knew that you identified that player to that team and fitting their need. If that player didn't go to that team, well, obviously you got a 3. If you picked it perfectly in that round at the time of when they picked, obviously, because you can't figure in on all the trades, that's why I said you got to figure in some maneuverability there. You got a 1. So that was the first thing, the pick to the team. The second factor I used was position. Okay, so did you correctly identify the NFL team's needs and the pick with that correct position? So, i.e., you picked Blake Bortles being picked by the Vikings, okay, but you had him picked in that position in the 9th spot or wherever the Vikings were. Well, they ended up picking Teddy Bridgewater. Well, he's still a quarterback. If you identified that they picked a quarterback in round 1, well, then you still got a 1. If it was a different round, you got a 2. If it was never, then you got a 3, okay? So you had to figure them within a round of when they were picked to get partial credit. Lastly, proximity. Now, this is an interesting one because did you properly identify the player's value in accordance to the league general manager, okay? On the money, got 1. Within 3 spots of where they were picked was 2, and if it was 4 or more, you got a 3. So again, proximity to where they would have been picked. So you look at the value of, okay, is Teddy Bridgewater a top 10 pick? Well, if you had him in your top 10, you're way off because he got picked 32. You see how that works? So if you said he would be picked at 12, he was picked at 13, well, that's a 2, okay? So you can see how it works out with you still had wiggle room. And how close were you? Well, how did this all stack up? Well, it was very, very interesting. I got to tell you. Going into this, I had no clue how well I would do. My assumption is that I'd, maybe be respectable, but I'd probably get beat by these guys. I mean, they live and breathe this stuff. The numbers were not even close. I stomped them by a considerable margin, and I used only first-round picks as a predictor. And again, first round, and we all know it's going to be the first round, right? I was better by 8% statistically I was also better, and again, this is considerable in sample size of 100. I mean, this is 100 different numerical factors that were built into this, and I used a standard deviation test. You can see the numbers, and again, you can see this on my website. I have it on 12for12s.com. Call it the Kiper McShay. What did I actually call this thing? The verdict is in. ESPN's Kiper McShay beaten by 12for12s in statistical battle of wits. But if you go onto the actual site, you can see that the page, and I did my statistical analysis. You can pop it up and take a look at it. In the first round, and this is interesting, again, worst score would be a 90, okay? The worst possible score. Well, they had a round one score of 88. That is horrid. Their average pick was 2.75. Again, that's, the scale, the score. So they were basically pretty close to 3. And the standard deviation from 1 being, the mean, they were 0.7796, okay? So they were, 23 points off of that, 23 basis points off. Now, comparison to me, and this is the first factor, just the pick and team, I scored an 82. The average was 2.5625 for me. I was better than them by almost nearly 8.7 points, and that's 0.8419. So you can see, again, I was clearly better than them. But where I really crushed these guys, and this is where it's fun, is in proximity. You go to proximity. I had them closer to where they actually were picked. They didn't. They had a score of 86. Their average was 2.6875. I had a score of 73. Again, a full 13 points better than these guys. Average was 2.2813. I just crushed these guys. And the standard deviation factor takes all of the factors, the pick the team, the position, and the proximity all into account. Position was pretty close, but I still beat them based on the position, the need for the team. Did they actually draft a wide receiver or a quarterback or a defensive tackle or whatever? They were 2.2188 at 71 points, and I was 69 at 2.1563. I beat them on every level. I tell you what, folks, these guys make millions of dollars for these teams, these networks, and it just shocks me because I'm always sitting there going, what do they know? They don't know anything. They don't know what these GMs are going to do. Heck, we don't even know what the Schneid's going to do half the time, and I shouldn't say half the time, 99% of the time. So again, it just goes to show you these guys don't know jack squat, and I love doing that study to show that, heck, I know more than they do. So happy to say that, folks. You're listening to the right guy. All right, moving on here. Next topic, the Schneid and the Caray method. I thought this was a good, interesting thing to look at. And I mentioned earlier this year, but I think this draft proved it once and for all, especially to the naysayers, more on pundits. These guys that say they know everything, but they really don't. That what you say matters, okay? And as Yoda might say, it matters not. These guys pick guys, and I say guys, Carroll and Schneider pick guys that fit into 3 major categories, okay? This is how I look at it. The first is, do you have the mental makeup to compete in a highly competitive professional environment? Mentally, meaning, do you have the mental capacity to deal with the stress mentally and the physical wear and tear? They put you through the ringer. And that's the first thing they look at. You realize that most of the picks that we made, most of them were actually first talked to by our team psychologist. The team psychologist, in some cases, was the only one that talked to them. That tells you a lot about where we value. We should value the mental side so much more in some cases than the physical side. But the physical side, they test off the charts too. The second factor I think they look at, are your physical skills capable of filling a void or adding to what we already possess? So again, they're looking for particular characteristics, and where do they match up inside of those position rooms, those position groups. Third and final, can you play special teams? And I talked about special teams earlier with this draft class, and I think it's important that you know that you have to play special teams on this team. So many times do we just forget about that. But you realize when you think back about last year's team how we dominated special teams, dominated. With Leon Washington returning balls the year before, we were one of the best return teams. Now we have the best return guy, Percy Harvin, and what happens when he catches the ball? He goes, 57 yards. I'm sorry, 57 yards the first time, and then and then all the way back for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Absolute lightning in a bottle. It shows you, because our special teams are fantastic. We have starters playing on special teams. But if we can get those guys off of there, we can put some of these new guys in there, that's only going to make us better. So can you play special teams, and are you great at it, and are you ready to play it? That Jeremy Lane's proved that. That's why Jeremy Lane's so gosh darn good. You saw how good he was, especially in that tape against the Giants last year. Unbelievable how good they are on special teams. And I hope Ricardo Lockett's able to get back here, because I want to see that guy just beheading people once again on punt coverage. We got some stuff that's special there. Speed kills. All right, moving on. I want to talk about these undrafted free agents, and I got to tell you, I think we've got some gems here. I really, really, really do. And going into this, I'll mention again. Some of these haven't been updated, but the picks that we picked were Brock Coyle out of Montana. He's a middle linebacker. He actually the team had visited with him prior to the draft. This is a kid that really is interesting because, he is a tackle machine. He is always in the middle. He's always making plays. Does he have all the ones and nots? I mean, he's going to beat Bobby Wagner out? No. But is he going to be a backup potentially? Heck yeah, and we could use it. Also, Keith Price. Again, a guy I don't know if he's going to be on the team. I don't know if he's going to be on the team very long. Quarterback out of Washington. I think this is a real nice pickup for a couple of reasons. One, Russell and him are buddies that get along. I think it's an opportunity to show a local guy what it's like to be in a winning, super top-of-the-line winning organization, obviously. And I just like having a guy who's local around. I think Keith Price is a good kid. There's a lot of good things about him. Great leader. You can read more about each of these guys on my website, 12for12s.com, as well. Bronson Irwin. I got to talk about my Sooners. I mean, hey, right? Bronson Irwin, offensive guard out of the University of Oklahoma, a big boy, a great run attack guy. You got to realize, the Sooners, they run a blocking scheme. I wouldn't say it's very similar to the Seahawks, but it's a zone blocking scheme for running, and they run a power running attack when they're running the ball. They also do a sprint running attack. So you think about what we're going to do with Percy. Well, that fits very well with what they do with Percy and what they did at Oklahoma. You need a guy who's both athletic, fast, but also big and strong and can move. Bronson's that type of guy. He was a 4-star recruit on Rivals as he was coming out of high school at Mustang, Oklahoma, which I'm very familiar with. I played football in Mustang. I know the place very well. This is a guy who's used to doing a lot of things in a lot of different scenarios. A lot of passing at obviously Oklahoma, but also having the ability to run block. I like this. Very similar to they had a very similar makeup last year to what we had here in Seattle with a Russell Wilson type quarterback too, runner and a passer. So I think this guy definitely could have a spot potentially on this roster. The biggest pick that we had, and again before I mention the others, but this is the guy I'm so excited about, Jackson Jeffcoat. Jackson Jeffcoat played at the University of Texas, 6'5", 280. Can you say Red Bryant? Red Bryant. His father is Jim Jeffcoat. He played for the Cowboys for many years. Was an absolute stud. Won a Super Bowl there back in '92, I believe it was, '91 when they won that first Super Bowl. But Jackson Jeffcoat is an absolute stud. Absolute stud. And I see of all the guys that we picked up in the unrestricted free agent department, this is a guy who's going to not only, I think, make this team, he's going to be a contributor. I really do. All right, moving on to the other group here. We had A.J. Harmon out of Georgia. Zach Zulili, quarterback out of Shippensburg, wherever the heck that is. Chase Dixon, tight end out of Central Arkansas. Gary Gilliam, offensive tackle out of Penn State. Deion Bailey, a safety out of USC. Andrew Palulu, a defensive tackle out of Washington State, which is another guy I like on this list. And Cam Hudson, a defensive back out of Troy. I got to tell you, I give us an absolute 10 out of 10. 5 gold stars on Amazon, 3 checks on Star Search, and a Budweiser to the lips on this one. The unrestricted free agent department, we killed it. And I think it goes to show all that work, especially that packet. I'm sure everyone has seen that by now. I put it on my website. I sent it out on Twitter. When the Seahawks put together an actual media pack they sent out to these guys and their agents saying, basically selling them on being a part of our organization as unrestricted free agents. Everybody wanted to come here, and we got them. I mean, the grades on some of these guys, a lot of them are graded six rounders. And these guys are it's going to be a battle to get on this team, but these guys are winners, and these are guys that are going to compete to be there. Very excited. Awesome. Okay. Moving on, 10th topic of this evening, steal of the draft. Well, you know, I did this in general. I did this as entire NFL, but I also did this as our team, okay? Excuse me. And when it came to the entire NFL, I hate to say this, folks, but I think the Rams had to steal the draft, and it's an Aaron Donald. Their 13th pick overall, a 6 foot, 285 5-pound lineman. This guy is a stud, absolute stud out of Pittsburgh. And you're saying the 10th round, the 13th round pick is a steal. I think this guy might be the best player in this draft. I know that's crazy. This guy is a man-child, and you don't see D tackles making that kind of disruption in the backfield. This is a guy that does that. We're talking about Cortez Kennedy type guys. We're talking about Warren Sapp type guys. That's an Aaron Donald. I think this guy's that good, and that's why I'm so scared that he's with the Rams. Now, on our team, I think it's still the draft, and again, wasn't even in the draft. I think it's Jackson Jeffcoat out of Texas. I got to tell you, folks, this guy is an absolute stud, and I think it's a shock that we got him. I think there were some issues with his size, but wait till we get a hold of him. And I'm telling you, he's already in here. I cannot wait to see Jackson Jeffcoat competing on this team. I really can. I think he's going to be an absolute gem. All right, moving on, and this is my second to last topic tonight. I wanted to have a little extra time to do this one, and this is this can be seen as a controversial topic, and I don't want it to be that way. I want to just say it and talk about it for what it is, but it's the Michael Sam effect. And first, let me start by saying that congratulations to Michael Sam. I think it's awesome that he's able to achieve his dream by being drafted in the NFL. Just under 300 college kids get this privilege, and that's meaningful. The question is, what will he do with this opportunity? The media is it's a feeding frenzy out there. I mean, it's the top story on all the sports shows, all of the NFL. This is NFL Network. All of their shows, it's the top story ahead of. I mean, they haven't even talked about Jadeveon Clowney, and that's the problem here. I think we saw how the media and the attention affected him when it was at the Combine. He tested horribly, and it was a tragedy because everyone expected him to do well. I mean, this guy was the SEC's Player of the Year defensively. But all of this minutia, you call it, I'm sorry, but it does weigh on people, especially when you're the focal point. On top of all that, he's a tweener based on his size. In the NFL, it's a different ball game. And he's undersized for a tackle defensive end, and he's too big for a linebacker. And he's a defensive end. He's a outside sprint rusher. And I'll tell you, I just want to see a guy have an opportunity, and I just feel like he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. The Rams will have 4 first-rounders starting on their defensive line potentially, with Chris Long. My mind left me, but you guys know what I'm talking about. As I said earlier this year, when his sexuality news broke, my message to him was not for him to allow the media to make this the lead story. He had that ability. Stay out of the media. Just go do your job. And what I saw happening was that he was allowing himself to be caught up in the media, in the story, and ultimately I think it had an adverse effect against him. He's done all this by, again, engaging with the media, making that the story, and allowing cameras to come into your home for the post-draft celebration. Again, whether you agree or disagree with any of the actions that took place, I don't have any problem with it, but again, some people do. You have to understand that. And what took place, okay, is the point that the pressure starts to be put back on him. And that, again, it's not fair for him to have to do a job with all this added pressure that has nothing to do with people in the media building a story. Oh, I feel like he's setting himself up for failure. I really do. And I feel bad for him because I think this guy could do something special. He needs to be completely focused on his job, nothing else. He can make far greater strides for the LGBT community by playing professionally as opposed to just being drafted professionally. I've watched all the media on him the last few days. It's taken over the tube. I hope he can achieve his ultimate dreams as opposed to falling short, because the issue became the goal as opposed to the goal becoming fulfilled. I hope you guys understand what I mean by that. Is I want him to achieve his goal. I think it's great. I think it's a great ball player. But I just don't want him to allow the media to put so much pressure on him that he's unable to get there. I mean, he's a young kid still. He's still a young kid. This is a tremendous amount of pressure. I wish him the best of luck with the Rams. Obviously, they're trying to give him as great an opportunity and platform to do so. It's an uphill battle, though. He's got a tough room to get into. When I say room, I'm talking about that position group. It's a tough room, and he's going to have to really, really do well. So good luck to him, and I hope he can get focused. I hope he can get focused and take this battle on. It's going to be a tough one. All right, last topic of this evening is Doug Baldwin's Fresh Files. If you haven't seen it, it's a shorter version of what Mike Robb did on the Real Robb report. It came out earlier, no pun intended. It's a little shorter, like I said. Doug, please don't hate me if you're listening. It's a really fun highlight reel from Doug's perspective, taking place from them leaving the VMAC, going to the Super Bowl and then celebrating it afterwards. It's all there, including a kiss on the trophy. I thought it was really cool to actually see Doug. There's a scene of him filming on the what was taking place, but he was filming the scoreboard of the Jumbotron, and he's actually on it, and it's kind of one of those things. It's just that's a little social media connection right there. Again, check out Doug Baldwin's latest Fresh Files if you hadn't on YouTube. I also have it on my website, 12for12s.com. Okay, well, that's the end of the show, but I got a couple of topics, or a couple of bonus topics. One is Alan Bradford, a backup linebacker for the Hawks, was claimed off waivers today by our brothers from the other mothers, Jacksonville Jaguars, a byproduct of the post-draft roster moves. I wish Alan the best of luck with Gus Bradley down there in the Sunshine State. Also, I want to mention my friends at Only 12s. They have a spectacular event coming up here, hosted by our own local KJR stud radio announcer, Dave Softy Mahler. They're having a great experience between social media and just getting all the 12s together. It's going to be down in Cheney Stadium on June 28th from 11 to 5 p.m. Adults is $25. Children 6 to 12-year-olds is $12. Parking's $5 a car, $10 for large vehicles requiring multiple spaces. Obviously, tailgating. It's going to be really cool. They got some special guests, former player appearances, Bryce Fisher, Norm Johnson, others. It's going to be really a collection of just getting 12s together. There's going to be music. There's going to be stage. There's going to be lots of people there, just like you, trying to have a good time and revel in our 12ness. Being 12s and out there, because we have so much fun together. Check it out on only12s.com. Also, check out their group on Facebook at Only12s. That's Only, ONLY 12S. Check it out, folks. It's awesome. All right. Thanks again to everyone that joined me for the live show tonight, which, guess what? That was just me. It was just simple old me. No guest tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. 2014 NFL Draft is now over. We look forward to the next big events of the season that roll ahead. We got rookie mini camp starting up. We got the whole team camp moving in after that. This is going to be fun, folks. I hope you guys have checked out my NFL Roundtable show. I'll get that YouTube up on that. Pre-draft, it was last week's show. Check it out. It was a great show. Guests from the Jets, guests from the Packers, as well as the Raiders. We had some great radio announcers on there and guys that do exactly what I do, very good at what they do. It was awesome. Very professionally run show. Thanks to everybody that helps out with the retweeting. Phoebe, Rachel, Joseph, Tina, thank you. I can't help you enough. The OOT team and all your promotion assistants. The guys down at the Subway in Texas for listening every week to the Hawks 12. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it. And get the latest updates from everybody, including myself, on 12for12s.com, on Twitter at PBizzle. You know me there. And Facebook now at 12for12s Radio. And I hope you like both accounts, me and myself and I. I send them out 3 or 4 times a day, so check them out. Note that the interviews are going up on 12for12s on YouTube. I know I've said that before. You can check everything out on iTunes. There's links on my website and also to TuneIn Radio. OOT is spanning the globe, spanning all the networks, depending on what your operating systems are, so check it out. Lastly, good night. I really appreciate everybody that listens into the show, all the live listeners, as well as those that archive, listen to this from downloading on the different networks. I do appreciate it on Blog Talk, TuneIn, and iTunes. Minicamp is coming up. We can't wait. It's time, folks. Go Hawks. 2014, the season is ready to roll. Good night to all. Again, this is 12 for 12. Your host, Paul Byer. I'll see you next week. Have a great, great evening. Let's go to the end here with the normal song I always send it out to, a little Iron Maiden.
We want information. Who are you? The new number 2. Who is number 1? You are number 6. I am not a number. I am a free man.
Gotta love Iron Maiden. All right, so everybody, folks out there, that Seahawks Nation 12s, that's the show for tonight. Thanks again for joining me. This is your host, Paul Byer, signing off for 12 for 12s. Have a great night. See you next week.